This is the Backlog Battle Podcast, episode 207.
Suplexing the Phantom Train.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Backlog Battle Podcast. This is Alex.
And this is Daniel.
I think Final Fantasy VI is really something that has aged well over time. And I think that, once you sit down and actually start playing it, you'll actually be shocked as to how mature and I'm not talking about mature as in like gory or anything like that, but like just how mature the storytelling is.
I wouldn't associate like gore with maturity. I find that that's what a 12-year-old's interpretation of maturity to be.
Sure, but like I said, like it's so different tonally from all the other Final Fantasies, I feel. And again, this is just my opinion, that it will hook you because of just how the overall package feels like, and kind of like have a really good understanding of it. And it's because of its tonal shift, like into whatever it is and stuff, like dark or whatever, what have you, however you would describe Final Fantasy VI, like that it's really unique in the series because of that. And it didn't need fancy graphics or amazing orchestral soundtracks or cutscenes to be able to divvy it up, right?
Hey, Final Fantasy VI though is still a great looking game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's aged particularly well, and it does have it's one of those games where I want to replay again. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I would imagine that Final Fantasy VI has visually at least definitely aged better than 7.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, the pre-rendered backgrounds in 7 still look nice, but man, everyone's all fucking like Popeye arms and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I had to get a mod that took the the models that would be during combat and put them as the models that would be walking around, and it makes the game look so much better.
So basically, you're playing through like the fan remake of Final Fantasy VII.
In a weird way, if you want to put it that way. At least I don't have to look at fucking like Popeye arm like Cloud holding his sword with his flat fucking hand.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and again, like that's kind of like where I'm getting at is that there's a clear direction to 6, and I think the more noteworthy thing about 6 is that it wasn't directed by one person. It was directed by 2. I don't know if you know this.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, so Yoshinori Kitase, and you've known Kitase because he directed 7 and 8 and, and 10 and stuff, but also Hiroyuki Ito, who actually directed 9. He is the second director of 6.
I love 9!
Yeah, and so these two people kind of coming together and directing this game makes it feel really special. And you could tell, like, because of those two, like, you can see the different flavors between the two directors and stuff, and you can see, like, where their influences actually come across. So it's very interesting to see it through that lens where it's like, well, yeah, Kitase worked on this, but also Ito, so it's a great game. And again, like, I wish I didn't have to play the bastardized, like, Steam/mobile version on the phone. I would much rather play it in its full 16-bit glory and stuff. But
well, I mean, you could if you got the SNES Mini.
Yeah, the SNES Mini, SNES Mini, excuse me. PlayStation version as well, and
yep, that's what I got. I got the PlayStation version.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the DS never got a Final Fantasy VI port, right? Like it never.
No.
Yeah,
it got 3 and 4, and that's it.
That's really lame, and that was one platform that I wished 6 would actually come out in, because. I mean, we saw what they did with Chrono Trigger on the DS, and it looked great. It's probably the best place to play, Chrono Trigger other than the Super Nintendo. But man,
I'm actually going to slightly disagree.
Huh?
I wanted 6 on the PSP, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Final Fantasy IV Complete Edition didn't just take the same graphics and put it on the PSP. They redrew the sprites, and it doesn't look like the shitty Final Fantasy V or VI mobile ports that look like garbage. The redrawn backgrounds and sprites in the PSP version of Final Fantasy IV looks stunning. Absolutely beautiful. It is one of the best looking 2D games I've ever seen.
Yeah. And the curiosity about that is that Square Enix will always go back and redraw 4. For whatever reason, they will always go back and redo 4 like a million different ways. But when
like 4 on the 3DS and 3D, which I didn't like those 3D graphics much personally.
I didn't care about it much, to be quite honest. But like as far as 6 goes, you get the shitty like mobile port, and it's like, okay, really? Like that's the best you could fucking do? What happened to like the Final Fantasy 4 DS treatment, or what happened to the Final Fantasy 4 PSP treatment? Huh? The game is too good for you.
It feels like, I don't know, like maybe they just shipped it off to like some other company to handle it, and that's what they got back.
Well, Final Fantasy 4 DS is basically another company making it. So, I mean, that's, that's what that was. So,
okay.
So even that game got shipped to somebody else for somebody else to make it. So, like if for whatever reason Square Enix like hates 6 in some ways, but the more I think about it, the complexity of the 2D tiles in 6 were way ahead of its time. It's probably the most visually rich tile set that I've seen in a JRPG like during that time period. Like we're
if you just look at Final Fantasy V to Final Fantasy VI, there is a huge jump in graphical fidelity.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like it, and I think those are the reasons why I feel like it's aged pretty damn well. Like it's just like the uniqueness of the look, like the steampunky feel of it, just felt right for the swan song of Final Fantasy. Like before they jumped onto like disc platforms, specifically the PlayStation. So.